I call the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities Board of Directors meeting to order. Nikki, please note the roll. First on the agenda is going to be the election board, elect the board of officers and the secretary for the board. Anybody have any ideas?
I'd like to propose a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to move that Chris Stevens be reelected president, Scott Ohm being reelected vice president, and Nikki Luce be reappointed secretary of the board of directors of the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
anyone want to second that?
I second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. It's gonna be a roll call vote.
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Ohm,
Yes.
Member Willett,
Yes.
and Member Smoker.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Is there any public comment?
Any emails received?
No.
We'll move on to the consent agenda items. First is going to be the minutes for the regular meeting of the Board of Directors held on June 4th of 2025. The closed session of the Board of Directors held June 4th of 2025. Also, the regular meeting of the Michigan South Central Power Agency Board of Commissioners held on April 3rd of 2025. Also included is going to be departmental reports for the Board of Public Utilities, operation reports and financial statements for May of 2025. The bills and accounts for period ending June 30th of 2025. And also the regular meeting of the Michigan South Central Power Agency Board of Commissioners held on April 3rd of 2025. Any questions about those items?
Motion to approve. Support.
Motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you. First on our agenda is going to be the introduction of a new hire, Keith Nearpass, as the IT manager.
Afternoon, everyone. As I said, my name is Keith Nearpass. I am honored to step into the role of IT manager for the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities in the city. Coldwater is more than just where I live. It's my home. My family's been here for generations. After my informative years in college and I started my IT career, my wife Leah and I decided we wanted to start our family here and raise our two kids. I am bringing 20 years of IT experience to the role. 6 of that being in IT leadership, crafting policies, procedures, helping mentor a team. So I've seen how technology firsthand can strengthen, can drive progress, builds, help services, and sorry about that. Just got a little nervous there.
You're fine.
I know. Anyway, so I've seen how in this technology can improve services, strengthen communities. I'm also seeing this day and age how cybersecurity is more important than ever. It is the backbone of protecting CBPU's infrastructure, our customers' data, and the very trust that the community has placed in us. So, and I'm here to help ensure that our technology serves, but also protects what we are standing for. So, you guys already have an amazing dedicated team here at CBPU and talented. I look forward to working with Pat Poole and the IT team and there's everybody here at CBPU to face new challenges, embrace innovation, and accomplish many great things together. So thank you for your support.
Any questions for Keith? No?
Thanks.
Thanks. Glad to have you.
Welcome.
Next will be the electric rate adjustments. I will turn this over to Utility Director for this.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. So cost of service, full complete cost of service was done back in April of 23. And then during that cost of service, it provided a 5-year rate track for that move forward to 2025. And we are looking at where our rates fall. And right now, on the electric side, we are not projecting the need to have a rate increase on the electric side. However, what we started looking at is the power cost adjustment, the PCA. The PCA previously was at 0.0674 cents per kilowatt hour or dollars per kilowatt hour. What we're projecting to move it to is $0.07 per kilowatt hour. The reason for this is our recurring power supply cost increase and what we're seeing as far as future cost increase as well coming from MSCPA and AMP. The difference between the PCA and the base cost is what the customers would be paying. Or I'm sorry, the difference between the real cost and what the base cost is what the PCA cost comes out to be. So this chart in front of you, I figured it might be easier to explain visually than through words. So if you look at this chart, the orange bar shows what our current base cost is at 67.30 per megawatt hour or 6.7 cents per kilowatt hour. What we're proposing is to move it up to 7 cents per kilowatt hour or $7 per megawatt hour. The reason for this is if you look at the blue line is actually shows you what the PCA was. And as you can see, there's many times it was well above and our PCAs were high. Being from an industrial or commercial, a lot of people want to know, they want a straightforward cost. This is what my cost is going to be. They don't want to see it fluctuating. So they want to see a fixed amount. They want to see more of a fixed amount and less of a variable amount. On the next page, you'll see a little bit of what is proposed regarding what the PCA would be at a 7 cents compared to a 6.7 cents. Now, if you look at, and you'll hear a little bit later in my director's report regarding this month. So this month, our current proposal is 0.0166 and some change. With the new base rate of 7 cents compared to the 6.7 cents, you'd be looking at a 0.01386 and some change, which comes out to be about 16% difference between those two. So the customers would be seeing a 16% less cost in the PCA alone. So if you look further into what Nikki has provided with the red lines, in there you'll see slight increases. And some of those increases you'll see 3%, 4%, but that is just basically moving that base cost up from 6.7 cents to 7 cents when we calculate the rates themselves as well as the PCA. But by doing that, our PCA is going to drop. So we anticipate this being a net zero impact to our customers. And we felt because we did not need a rate increase at this time, that this was the best time to go ahead and reshuffle the deck and get to that even par as best we can based on the projections of cost of power in the future. I'd be happy to answer questions that you may have. Like I said, the best we can do, what we wanted to do is try to make sure that it was a net zero to our customers. You're going to see fluctuation because the cost of power fluctuates, but this is going to see less of a variable portion of it and more of a fixed portion of it, which will help those in the industrial world as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I may not have explained that as best as you needed to, but I'd be happy to answer questions for you.
So the power supply cost adjustment's like 1.7 cents this month?
It is, yes.
Yeah, and that's pretty high. So you expect to be a lot lower on, when we have to have those.
Yeah, going forward,
Bumps.
we anticipate it coming down. We can't give you an exact what percentage it's gonna come
Right.
down because it's a variable. It's
Right.
all based on what we're paying to our power supplier, to MSCPA. And then we take off that 7 cents and some
Right.
formulas in there to create and generate that PCA. I said, if you go back to the chart with the lines on there, Nikki. So this here, if you look at the way that the PCA is set up, it's that difference. And when you get into these months, starting from pretty much February on, you're seeing that your PCA cost is quite large. And we've seen that as we've come to the board to explain it. What we're trying to do is drop that down and to limit that exposure, that variable portion in between there.
Yeah, help our operations manager stomach it a little better.
It will help a lot of businesses to stomach that PCA fluctuation in pricing. Now, we could have gone higher than the 7 cents, but talking with our rate consultant UFS, they recommend staying at that 7 cents because we don't want to have it to where our base cost goes up too high and then our PCA is negative. We want to make sure that there's that fluctuation and that variability in there.
Yeah, what happens when it goes negative?
When it goes negative, there's some customers that will see a negative PCA and then there's some that will see zero. And it's all based on the rate that they're on, that the customer is on. I said, the best for us is to make sure that it stays a tad positive, but doesn't go crazy positive. And this is all factored into the budget because the PCA is just a way for us to recoup the difference in price between our base cost and what we're actually being charged from our agency. So with that, if there's no more questions, I would take a recommendation to approve the proposed rate adjustments and resolution 2568 to be sent to the city council. Their first meeting will be July 14th. And after that, we're looking at this effect to take into effect on September 1st, which is what we do every year on the electric side, which means temperatures are a little lower so that the customers don't see a rate shock with the increased usage because of the air conditioning load.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay,
No support.
you have motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. What's the delay?
Thank you.
Next is going to be the HLB transfer switch for the city hall, I assume.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. So when the HLB building, this building was first designed and built, the emergency generator and the transfer switch were installed. The transfer switch was installed as a 225 amp transfer switch, which does not handle the entire load of the building. And we found that out when we had our transmission outage, which is one of the reasons we lost some of our computer servers and the ability to put stuff out on our website. So one of the things that we've been working on right now is to change out that transfer switch to an 800 amp transfer switch, which would take care of the entire building, which, knock on wood, we don't have another issue like we did, but the generator would be able to handle the entire load of the building. We went out for bids. We went to Jepson, Shouldice, and Kaiser. Shouldice was the cheapest at $76,896 with the shortest lead time, 15 to 17 weeks. If approved and we get this on order, we're looking at a time schedule around Thanksgiving, which would be the perfect time because the building is closed on Thursday and Friday. We'd have to have staff in to make sure that we did some switching on the wiring side as well. But other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this, but if not, we are requesting approval to move forward and this project with Shouldice at a total amount of $76,896. The generator does not have to be replaced or anything done to it, because the generator was sized large enough for the building. It's just that transfer switch was not.
Why was that? Why do we have a generator that can produce 800 amps, but
Well, we'd have to go back and find the engineer of record from 21 years ago, so.
it's
if
like,
can
we
find
could
them,
have
we'll
bought
ask.
we could have bought a lot smaller generator at the time if that was the case. Seems crazy. Need a motion?
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is going to be stock transformers. We'll see John again. It's his quarterly visit.
Then we just.
Transformers?
That was 2 meetings.
Good evening, President Stevens, members of the board. Yes, I'm back for my quarterly visit, talking transformers again. So we have voltage conversion projects that are ongoing throughout town, and in order to maintain our reliability and redundancy, we've identified that we do need a stock transformer for the hospital. We went out for 3 bids, Sunbelt, Solomon, Stewart, Irby, Border States. Due to the best lead time, we're looking at Sunbelt Solomon again to purchase a 1500 kVA 3-phase pad mount transformer for stock at the total price of $51,170. And it's got a 9-week lead time, which is rather impressive these days. So with that, I'm requesting approval to go ahead and order that.
So is this,
Any,
oh,
so go ahead, Scott.
is this a backup to what they have right now?
Yes, we did purchase some transformers. We moved them from a D rate to a C rate, so we assumed ownership of the transformers, and we need to have one in stock in case something horrible happens. Then we've got backup to get them restored as quickly as possible.
What's your feeling with Sunbelt Solomon?
Sunbelt Solomon has been reasonable. Obviously we'd like to buy new, but the price difference just is not justifiable. And the lead times are just way out there. So the rebuilds are the way most of the industry is going, just because they've got the availability to get them to us quicker. So we've had good luck with them. The occasional one fails. They do come with the same warranty as a new one. So you get a 3-year warranty with a new or a 3-year with a rebuild.
Okay.
All around, it's a better deal. But there is, it's rebuilt, just about like buying a used car. You're going to have possible issues unless it was well done. So
You said this is a backup for the hospital?
Yes.
transformer? And if that transformer goes out, what happens?
if that transformer goes out, then I've got a contingency right now until we get the other one in here. But I'd feel more comfortable if we had the exact size.
Okay.
We do have 1,000 kVA one in stock, but their load is right up there, and they're using just about everything that they have out of that transformer. So we're keeping one in stock in our back pocket to take care of that issue. And that's not the only 1,500 kVA that we have out there. So as we go through these voltage conversions, I'm sure we're going to find another one. But these voltage conversions are, as you know, scheduled out for over the next 5 years. So we're pushing to get it quicker, but as we identify them, we're going to be. You might be seeing me more. Hopefully not, but
Thanks, John. Need a motion?
Motion to approve the Sunbelt Solomon purchase.
Thank you.
Support.
You got a motion support? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed.
thank you and bless you.
Next on the agenda is the phone system replacement at Pool.
Good afternoon, President Stevens and members of the board. I appreciate your time. So this is one of the oldest technology pieces that we have. We put this in when I started in 2002, most of this equipment. So I think we got our money's worth out of it. But it is going end of life in October of this year. And then it will no longer be supported. So we want to replace it before it gets to that point. We sent out an RFQ that was internally created to 3 vendors. We got responses from 2 and no response from another. The 2 that we did get responses from, one of them met the requirements in full and the other one did not include the telephone hardware or installation. So BSB turns out, and we have a relationship with BSB. They bought out Firstel, who we've been working with since 2002. So we're comfortable with them. The total cost of ownership over a 5-year period of time is actually cheaper with the Mitel BSB product anyway. So we're recommending that we go with a BSB on there. I put a little 10% contingency on there because I created the RFQ, not an engineer, and I want a little breathing room. So the total that I'm asking for is $95,506. And it would be split between the general and the utility funds. Catch that, Tom? Is that good? He likes it when I say general and utility funds instead of city CBPU. So the BPU share would be $47,753. And that's what I'm requesting approval for.
so you said that it takes about 5 years for the BSB to be cost effective versus the Cortec?
I didn't check a 3-year, but over 5 years, yes, the BSB is over. I didn't really check to see.
And what's
It's definitely cheaper. Well, obviously it's cheaper to buy it right now, but I still haven't bought the hardware and I still haven't installed it. And this is kind of a timely project. I mean, I can't really take 6 weeks to move a phone system out. I got to do it pretty quickly. So that's why I'm asking for installation services help, so that we can turn it over quickly, get everybody on board with a new phone system, get them trained and move on from there. So, yeah.
What's the life of the phone system? It's 5 years?
It's certainly not going to be the 20-some years that we did with the last one. I guarantee you that. They've all learned, all these vendors have learned their lessons at that point. So they'll do obsolescence. They'll actually start doing those end of supports a lot sooner. Although this is still the flagship product that we're buying from Mitel. So it has no sunset window yet.
Okay.
So it should last at least 5 years. I really expect 7 years. So
Any other questions for Pat? Oh, okay. What is the desire of the board?
I'll move to support the VSP project.
Okay,
Support.
motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Motion's passed.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. All right.
Next on the agenda is the North Willowbrook Road property. I'm just kidding. No, the fat soils increase.
Good evening. I'm not here to ask for any money.
I like you a lot more now.
So we're going to talk about fog a little bit. Fats, oils, and greases. So they're very detrimental to our collection system and our wastewater treatment plant. We've been battling this for as long as I've been here. There's no guidance or rules in place to make sure that entities are taking care of their grease traps, oil separators, sediment traps, all that stuff. The county tells them whether they have to have it or not. And all we have in our ordinance at this point is that they must be maintained. So they usually don't maintain them until they fail and they learn their lesson. So we want to take something to the city council and change the ordinance to include an inspection of grease traps, sand traps, all this stuff with a $50 fee annual inspection with a fine structure that if they don't do what they're supposed to, then we don't want to fine anybody. Of course, we'll work with them, but to make sure that they do what they're supposed to. Probably 90% of all sewer backups has to do with grease, rags. They knot up, get together, and they form, as I showed you, there's some pictures on there of nice stuff that John's staff and Brian Massey's staff has to deal with. So we're asking to move this along to the city council to change the ordinance and get this in place. It's long overdue. County does not inspect them. They just tell them whether they have to have them. And it's going to be a long process. We have to get everybody on a list, go do initial inspections. So it'll be a timely measure, but it'll be well worth it. Now, open to any questions.
Can we require like a certain amount of cleanings and pumping out of grease trap?
Yes, we left it kind of
especially for
open.
Restaurants?
We left it kind of open-ended so we could do the initial inspection. And then if they have a lot of grease, then and they're not, in 1 year isn't sufficient, then we can require it for more.
Okay.
Who will do the inspections,
The water department,
not the wastewater?
wastewater treats the wastewater. They don't do collections. So we have a meter guy that does all the meters. So it's a perfect opportunity to check our larger meters and get in there when we do the inspections on the grease traps.
Okay.
He will love that.
Idea how many we have in the,
Not really. I'd hate to get, I don't think there's a ton.
you get that from the county then?
They don't have records, so we have to
Oh.
visually inspect every one. Don't write anything bad about the county, Don.
Okay. But we've been working on this for years, right? Yeah, okay, I thought it's been up.
Well,
For a long
the
time.
problem being is that we do not accept grease trap cleanings at the wastewater plant because we have no way, it just would go back into the plant and clog it up anyway. So they have to drive all the way to Three Rivers. So we're hesitant to move forward with this, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. I have to buy a grease emulsifier that I put in the Vector truck and clean quarterly certain areas of town to break the grease up so it doesn't get clogged up in John's stuff. And it's just getting more and more expensive. So
So this whole program's a proactive approach to maintaining our system and help. And also, it's also going to help the restaurants and other industries be proactive in their maintenance as well too, knowing that someone's gonna come by and take a look at it. It's gonna make them do more of their checks and balances, that their stuff is working properly as well. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
How are you gonna document, like if they have it cleaned, or can a restaurant like actually submit that to the water department to show that it's been done, or?
they need to keep track of their cleanings for, I think, for a 3-year period. So we'll just go in and look at their log,
Oh, okay,
who cleaned it, what date. And then we'll do an initial inspection because a grease trap you can manipulate very easily because all it is a big tank with an elbow that dips down and the grease sets
with the
on
back
top.
wall, yeah,
Well, you know what it is.
Yeah.
And you take that elbow off, it's no longer a grease trap.
absolutely. Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's passed. Thanks,
Thank you.
Brian. Next on the agenda is gonna be the North Willowbrook Road property. I'll turn this over to the utility director.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. Just so a little history lesson, I know we went over this before, just to go over it again. In May of 2009, the city of Coldwater, on behalf of the CBPU, purchased 65 acres on North Willowbrook for future development. In 21, we sold 17.7 acres to Coach Road Capital Partners LLC for the development of Summit Apartments, which is 312 units up there at the peak of the hill. In March of this year, we were presented an offer by Trotline LLC, who manages Coach Road Capital LLC, to purchase an additional 20 acres of the remaining 45 that are up there, to develop a 200 to 240 unit apartment complex as well. The offer to purchase is in the amount of $17,000 an acre for a total of $34,000 or $340,000. My math was a little off there. Attached to the board packet is the purchase agreement drafted by the city and BPU attorney, contingent on Trotline satisfying some contingencies and making sure that they do their work. One of the more important things as well is that this is in Coldwater Township. So between the city and the township, they'd have to sign to transfer that pursuant to a 425 agreement. At the June 23rd city council meeting, the city council introduced the sale of the property to Trotline LLC, and it's going to sit for 30 days. The next step in this process, if the BPU board supports the sale, is to approve agreement 825-24, contingent upon all the terms listed above and in the agreement. And then final city council approval will take place on July 28th. A couple things in there, just of note, is that there's a provision to utilize their internet, the fiber that we have, as well as a buyback provision if they fail to do a certain number of things to keep the process moving forward. Trotline would still be responsible for the infrastructure improvements that we had talked about with the lift station, and they'd be looking at Brownsfield approval and TIFs to be able to get the payment back for that. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. There's also a preliminary design or drawing in there as far as what is being proposed. If you guys approve this and the city council approve this, then Trotline will start moving forward with permitting and final design and all the other processes that they have in the agreement that Amanda had drafted. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have on this.
No questions for me.
Okay. There's no questions. What is the desire of the board?
I'll make a motion to move this to city council for final approval.
Thank you.
Support.
Got a motion support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, just checking.
No.
Say nay. Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda is establishing meeting dates for the 2025-2026.
So President Stevens, members of the board, what you have in front of you is the list of meeting dates for the 25-26 fiscal year. It falls on the first Wednesday of the month as it has previously as well. So if there's no objections to this right now, we'd request approval for that.
I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is going to be the Personnel Policy Manual update. I'll turn this back over to Utility Director.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. In August of 2020, the personnel manual of the city of Coldwater and the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities was rewritten and updated. A little over a year ago, which tells you how in depth we went through this, we took upon the task to go through and revise it, find out what needed to be changed per state law, federal law, as well as look through grammaticals and look through some other changes that we felt needed to be done based on what was happening in the industry as well. So some of the major changes are an update to the PTO calendar and holiday calendar, the addition of earned sick time, changes to the bereavement and anti-nepotism policies, changes to voluntary involuntary termination policies, clarification of the safety committee, jury duty, and solicitation policies, addition of a vehicle use and a distracted driving policy, update to the purchasing and travel policies, update to IT policies such as the addition of an AI policy, updates to the dress code and dental reimbursement. If you'd like, we can go through page by page, but I think we'd be here for a week or so going through that. But these are the highlights that we are discussed and made the recommendations for changes. If so approved, this will be forwarded to the city council for implementation on their July 14th meeting. The manual would not take effect until August 1st unless there's a disapproval from this board or the city council, and then we'd go back to the drawing board and see what questions that you may have. It'd be my recommendation to approve policy number P25-01, which is the update of the personnel policy manual from the city of Coldwater and the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities.
Is this something that's we're required to notify the union and have them review it first, or?
No, it's not an individual policy, it's a complete policy manual.
Okay. Any questions about the policies or the updates? No. Seeing none, I need a motion.
I so move.
Support.
Got a motion of support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Policy is passed.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank all those involved and the hours of work that it took to get this in the form that it is and the policies updated.
Next on the agenda is the MISO auction results. Turn us back over to City Director again.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. So the first page just goes over a little bit as far as what the auction is, why it is set up. I'm sorry, the next page. What it is, what we have to do, and how we have to put it all together. The next sheet goes over a little bit what MISO is. So you can see MISO pretty much takes care of the center of the nation, going from Canada all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Michigan sits in zone 7 of MISO, and we'll see that in a second of why that's kind of important, or used to be important, now it's not really. So some of the results of the auction, as you see, in past years, the auction has cleared in different zones at different pricing. This year, it pretty much cleared the same price across all the zones. You may see the numbers and say, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And yes, it is. So if you go to the next page, you'll see how the price cleared. Last year, it cleared under $1. I think it was like 61 cents on average for all three or all 4 seasons. This year, it cleared about $6.61, which is a little under $7. As you know, that kind of affects the way that we handle capacity and energy purchases for our customers. On the next page, you'll see how the different auctions, the different seasons went, summer being the highest at a little over $20, all the way down to winter, which is just at $1. And what we've pretty much been seeing is it's hard to purchase on a particular season. They want to sell you for the entire year and not just allow you to pick and choose the season that you're doing. We're hoping that changes as things continue to move forward, as this is the second year of the seasonal construct that MISO went through. So we're hoping to see a little bit of a difference there. On the next page, we'll see a little bit of what MSCPA's energy resources are going to be. We have a diverse mix between the market, between solar, Prairie State, AFEC, which is the natural gas in Ohio, Prairie State's the coal in Illinois. Hydros are in Ohio as well too, and some up in the UP. So this just gives you an idea of what some of our contracts are in place for energy purposes from an agency perspective. Some of the things that we're going to have to start planning for on the next slide is the My Healthy Climate, which we've talked about in the past. Just a reminder to PA 235, we have to have 15% of resources coming from renewable source from 24 to 29. In 2030, that jumps up to 50%. In 2035, it jumps up to 60%. And if that wasn't enough, in the clean energy portion of it, we have to show 80% reduction by 2035 and 100% reduction by 2040. So any type of power that we are purchasing from what they would classify as a non-clean resource has to have a clean resource with it as well too. So a lot of it will be double purchasing because you have some ownership and power coming from a coal plant. So now you got to offset with something as a renewable source, either battery, wind, or solar. And also as a reminder too, we are working on, and within the next month or so, you'll be getting the chance to approve our energy waste reduction plan, which is an additional to these two things as well. On the next slide, you'll see kind of what we're seeing for renewable energy credits coming up and ramping up as we get closer to the state mandates. Michigan, just a year or so ago, was around the $2 to $3 range. And right now we're seeing the $5 range is what they're talking about for one rec. One rec is 1 megawatt hour. And we roughly run about 480,000 megawatt hours per year. So we have to show 15% of that being renewable. If we had no renewables in our portfolio, we'd have to be buying off of this. There's also some standards in the PA 235 that has it that some of the recs you're not allowed just to buy them on the market. You actually have to have some type of ownership or a PPA with a solar farm or renewable farm for that. So what does this all mean? We kind of anticipate that between the auction and all the PAs that the state approved is that power supply costs are going to continue to creep up. We're hoping to mitigate that by some longer term deals and maybe some ownership shares in future plants. So we're going to continue pushing that as we move forward, but just to give you an overview of what we're looking at. And then there's a lot of reading material. If you really want to have something to do to fall asleep to, by all means, put it under your pillow, see if it goes through with osmosis, and let me know in the morning. And that is just the update of where the MISO auction results are. Questions?
Yes. So what percentage are we at with renewables?
16 to 17% is,
so-
it varies a little bit based on output, but 16 to 17% is where we're at right now. We also have to show in our state reports that we have those available. So if we're not producing them, we're purchasing them. If there's excess about what we need, we can store those over a certain period of time and then use them up until they're gone.
Okay. There's no additional questions about that. We'll move on to public comment. See none, we'll move on to new business and the director's report.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. So as we talked earlier about the PCA, this month's PCA is 0.01662 and 0.01712 for the secondary meters. Henry Hub gas pricing is not favorable for the future. It's in the upper threes to the mid fours to upper fours over the next 12 to 18 months. So natural gas prices are going to be driving power prices as well too. I'm not going to go over personnel. Keith Nearpass did a great job introducing himself. He started on Monday, June 16th. We want to welcome to the CBPU and city team and look forward to working with him in the future. Last year, Coldwater applied for the Michigan Green Communities Challenge. This year, we applied as again, and we did receive the award again for that. Just a reminder that this demonstrates our community leadership in energy efficiency, climate resiliency, recycling, mobility, environmental stewardship, and more. We're improving the quality of life for our residents, which is a great thing for us as part of what our mission statement is. And if you have any more questions on the My Green Communities, the website is listed down below. On Saturday, May 30th, we sponsored some employees and their families to run in the ABC Challenge. It's what they would call a mud run. It's a 1.5 mile obstacle course that you go through very cold water, and you climb through mud and you get really, really cold. And then if you're not cold enough when you're done, they hose you off over in the livestock barn with even colder water. So we want to thank everyone that participated in that. And unfortunately, it is John's last year of doing it. So hopefully someone will pick up the reins and continue this for the community as well too. Entertainment Under the Stars begins July 8th and continues through August 18th at Heritage Park. Takes stage about 7 p.m. Just a reminder, BPU is sponsoring again on Tuesday, August 12th, and we'll be sponsoring Island Vibe. So if you have a good Hawaiian shirt, please come on out and enjoy the entertainment, and don't forget your lawn chairs or you'll be sitting on the grass or fighting over the picnic tables. The couple conferences, if anyone is interested, the 2025 AMP annual conference is being held September 22nd and 23rd in Columbus. And the MMEA Fall Conference is being held in Muskegon on September 23rd and 24th. And if you've had any interest in going, please contact Nikki and she can get you signed up. July 4th is coming up on Friday. City offices will be closed. And just a reminder that the fireworks will be held at Heritage Park at dusk. Please bring your lawn chairs as well too. And just CBPU is a proud sponsor again of the fireworks to provide this for our community. And after that, you have a thank you from the Children's Museum regarding a donation we made for the Royal Meet and Greet Ball for this year. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on my report.
There's no questions. The day of the next meeting?
Wednesday, August 6th.
Yeah, we got it.
Jill will miss it, but everyone else good?
Okay. Next, we're going to be moving into a closed session pursuant to section 8A of PA 267 of 1976 to conduct a periodic evaluation at the request of the director. I need a motion to move into
I'll move to closed session.
John? Vice President Ohm,
Yes.
Member Willett,
Yes.
Member Smoker,
Yes.
President Stevens.
yes.
And Don, we will come out with a motion. If you want to stick around.
back of his neck. He's not a nice doggy.
We'll call the regular meeting back to order.
All right. I would like to make a motion. I move to approve an increase of Director Jakubczak's annual compensation by 2% over the previous year's level, as well as adding 1% into his 457 plan.
Okay. Need a second for that?
Second,
Got a motion and a second? Be a roll call vote, please.
Member Willett,
yes.
Member Smoker,
Yes.
President Stevens.
Yes.
And Vice President Ohm.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I look forward to the next year.
I'll see you for a few months.
Okay, we
All
are
right.
adjourned.